So in this video, let's talk about reparations for black people, because everybody likes that topic. So for those who are unaware, there is an effort to get what are called reparations for Americans who happen to be black. And this is supposed to fight racism as well as amend mistakes of the past. It's supposed to right the wrongs of American history. The idea would essentially require, as things currently are, or at least the idea is, what they would do is they would use the federal government to single out and target Americans who happen to be of white skin. And once they find those individuals, the government would implement a tax, a specific tax on those people because of the color of their skin. And then that money that would be taxed from white Americans would be, in theory, siphoned off and given to black Americans. So this would be an increased tax, assumingly on probably your paycheck. So you'd have like your federal income tax and your state tax and then your white tax, I'm assuming, something like that. Reparations tax. And that'll be taken out of your white paycheck. And then it hasn't been specifically highlighted how it will be given to black Americans. It could be maybe as a tax return once a year, maybe not. They might do it something like a monthly, kind of like a handout kind of thing. Like you just check your bank account and you got your reparations money for the month. Something like that. Of course, this does not take into account people who are currently Americans, who have legal American citizenship, who are white, but they have migrated, they have become U.S. citizens after being born in some other country, or perhaps they were born here in America, but their parents are migrants who came here and gained U.S. citizenship, and they have no ties to slavery in American history. This would be a tax implemented targeting a group because of their skin color. This would be the federal government targeting a race and increasing their taxes. This idea also glosses over the fact that there could be an American who has legal U.S. citizenship who happens to be a black individual who might have migrated from another country and gained U.S. citizenship here after being born somewhere else. Or maybe they were born here in the U.S., but their parents were migrants. They immigrated here, gained U.S. citizenship, and then had a child here. That black American, though black and though American, their history, their ancestry, goes back to some other country and to whatever that history was. Realistically speaking, what would happen is white Americans would see their taxes go up. There would be a new tax from the white person. It would be taken from the white person. The American government would take it, and then it would be the government's responsibility to dish it out to the black Americans. I'm pretty sure it'll be something akin to taxes in regards to getting your taxes back. The government takes thousands and thousands of your dollars and then gives you back a couple $100. So, tons and tons of money will be taken, will be sucked out of white America, and then the federal government would sprinkle a couple of crumbs towards black America. They would be effectively using the guise, the facade of helping black America to destroy the middle class of America, and particularly in a race-based attack against a particular race. This obviously would not be a blow against racism, but in fact it would just bolster racism. One, the policy is racist by nature, and two, it would agitate white people who are already racist or aren't, but it would make them defensive by nature and thus turn them racist. It would make them angry and agitated against their fellow Americans who are not white, because this concept of righting a wrong revolves around wronging a particular group of people right now. As a Trump supporter, as someone who is far right, I think this is a very bad idea. I think this is a very bad position. However, I think the idea of giving reparations to black Americans, I think the idea of correcting a historical wrong is good. And I think it should be done. But a little bit different from what everybody else is saying. Let's take a step back. Part of the rationalization of reparations is the idea that because of slavery, almost 200 years ago in America, it has disproportionately hindered the black American population, so that they are essentially trying to achieve the American dream from the bottom, from ground level, and they see it as unfair that white individuals are able to pursue the American dream from a position higher up the totem pole, if you will. They've had much more of a cushiony start, and they're not starting from the ground. And so the idea is that while blacks are trying to seek the American dream from way down here, whites are able to pursue it from starting up here. And they see that as unfair. Yeah, that's not so good. However, I don't quite understand how giving black individuals just free, easy money is somehow going to help them achieve the American dream, where you are entitled to what you work for. That's what the American dream is, by the way. The American dream is, if you put in enough work and enough effort, your labor and sacrifices will pay off. The American dream is that it doesn't matter where you start from. If you want it enough, you can go anywhere in regards to economics or social class or an occupation or what have you. Perhaps the appropriate way to make it easier for black Americans to achieve the American dream and to make it more equal and more fair would be to make the working process more beneficial, more effective. But how could we do that? Well, let's look back at this concept of the reparations. Okay, so the idea, the concept is Black Americans were wronged. But did the white Americans do the wronging? Or did the white Americans simply benefit from what was wrong? I feel like there's something between these two. I feel like there was something that afflicted the blacks, and then there was something that was benefiting the whites. But what could that something have been? Perhaps, hear me out, it was the American government. Perhaps the American government is the one that wronged Black America. Not white people. It was institutional racism. It was the institution, right? So, blacks were wronged. They should get some type of reparation. They should get something to compensate them for their misery, their inconvenience. Does that mean it's right to then harm and inconvenience and wrong another group of people? Because in 200 years, won't the white people want their reparations too? Are they then going to take the money from the blacks? How about this? Instead of white America suffering for what the American government did, perhaps the American government should do a little suffering. And how could the American government suffer? By not getting the tax money of Black Americans. How about this? How about if you are an American citizen who identifies as an African descendant, as a black person, and there is record and proof that both of your parents were black and born in America. Okay? If you can prove that, then you would be exempt from paying any income taxes at the federal level if the previous year you made less than $500,000. That would mean if you are a Black American and you go out and work at McDonald's or as the greatest brain surgeon in the country, if you make less than $500,000 last year, when you file your taxes this year, they will be able to exempt you from it. You won't have to pay back any taxes. Basically, Black America would be put into a special tax bracket, which would be something akin to like a capital gains tax. Instead of having a federal income tax taken out of every paycheck, they would be allowed to keep the money that they are earning. And at the end of the year, if they make less than $500,000, then they don't owe the federal government anything. They just get to keep their money. So while white America is having to pay taxes to continue trying to benefit society with their socialist handouts and their socialist benefits, Black America wouldn't have to pay into that. So white America would continue having the same benefits, prosperity, and inconveniences as they've had in the past. So there wouldn't be anything additional added on to white America that would make white America feel like they've been wronged. While black America would get something additional, something they haven't had, and it would be given to them at the expense of the benefits historically and typically gained by the United States federal government, the one who instituted slavery.